Talking with Kyle about that game, he says, for him, he just approaches them all the same way. But when you ask him about, how this team responded, how it came out, set the tone in a game that's been billed as a big game, he kind of talked about, how this group has grown and matured over the years. And I want to know what you see from them heading into that game, how they handled that game that makes you believe this team is learning and getting better.
Yeah, it was a big game, and difference between us being up 6 points or now being up 10 points. They recognize that we had to be at our best against a really good hockey team that doesn't give you a whole lot of ice, doesn't give you a whole lot of room to work, and I thought we had a fantastic first period. It was real solid and got out and got the lead and didn't stop from there.
You talk about them not giving you a lot of ice or a lot of space, but it looked like you were the team that was taking more of that away and had left them frustrated. Kyle talked about feeling their frustration. As a coach, when you see the frustration in the other team, what are you thinking?
I'm not really watching them so much. I mean, it was just the way we went about our business. They're a real good offensive team, and their offensive numbers are real high. Analytically, they're one of the top teams in the league as well, and we shut down a lot of avenues. We did a lot of good things. We created our goals by defending first. We got in, I've talked about often, we played a 200-foot game of defense to make sure that they didn't get room to work, and it turned into offense for us, and that's what we've done all year long, and that's we got up and got ahead of them, and now they got to chase the game.
That atmosphere there tonight, did it kind of, from your vantage point, feel like a crowd that knew what was at stake in this kind of game? Did it feel different than other ones?
I don't know if it felt different, but you can tell it was loud. It was a Friday night in Winnipeg and the barn here. It was real electric. We, especially when we scored early, it really got the crowd going. And I mean they've been good all year. They've been watching a real good hockey team play, good hockey throughout the season, and to have them behind us for that one, that's a big boost. So this is one of many big games that we've played so far this year. We still got a few more to go down the road before we get to the end of the season. So, like the way our group responded, and then again, I love the way the crowd responded.
Kyle spoke about how big strength of this team is being able to take things game by game. We've talked about that all year, and Morgan kind of said how a big part of it is they've been here before. They've been in a playoff spot in the final stretch. From your perspective, over the last couple of years, how would you best define the growth you've seen from the group in preparation for a game like tonight, and just how their demeanor?
Yeah, I think that every opponent that you face has something maybe different that they throw at you, whether it's how they defend or how they attack you offensively. We threw a game plan together. We did some things yesterday in practice to kind of align with what we wanted to do today. The guys grasp it, and then they go out and do it and they execute it. And that's, as me as a coach, you'd love to see that they understand. We're trying to find avenues and maybe areas that we can take advantage of. Let's say it's Dallas tonight or it's Seattle on Sunday. You're trying to find an avenue where you can, make a mistake, and our group has bought into what we, how we go about our business, and whether it's defending and frustrating a team, or it's our offensive push that creates those scoring chances. I think that all that kind of the guys buy into it and they do it night in, night out.
Scott, I've come to think of your starting lineup decisions as very intentional a lot of the time. And tonight you go with your big guns, your top line, your top pair, and then they go and get after it. So I'm wondering how much of that was intentional, giving them a chance to do what they went out and did for you.
Yeah. There's a little bit of both involved in that. Obviously, being at home, you have your call on when it comes to matchups. Sometimes it's that. Sometimes sometimes you challenge your, let's say it's Scheif or Vladdy's line, you challenge them to go head-to-head against some of the offensive lines on their side. Can't say enough about what Lowry's line did against their other big line. So there's part of our sort of our how we want to attack and how we want to play against, let's say, at Dallas tonight. There's also matchups that happen, and you have to win your matchup, and that to me is whether that's, like you said, Scheif going against Duchesne first shift and then them going after them. It's Lau going against Johnson and going after those guys. And it's kind of that's the guys recognize it. I don't always tell them what's happening. They recognize when they start to go over the boards against the same lines. And to me, you're going to bump heads shift after shift against the opposition. That's the advantage you got to learn to grow from. And I just think that starting those guys tonight, they gave us a real good first couple of shifts.
Thinking about one of the matchups, I think early on there were 2 D-zone shifts back to back for Luke Shen, where he's on the left wing boards and he's got Mikko Rantanen to deal with. One face-off, he boxes Rantanen out, reverses the puck. Next face-off, he fronts him, gets the puck first, reverses. Winnipeg gets out of the zone. So I'm wondering how important he has become to your matchups. And can a defenseman like that raise your face-off percentage by winning those?
Yeah, certainly things have changed here with P. Not being in the lineup, but Luke's, like I said, he's a veteran guy that's played in that position before. I think, and like I mentioned when we traded for him, there's a lot of players, and this isn't at random. This is just there's a lot of players that take the long way around to get to certain places when he's on the ice, and it is evident. I obviously coached against him for a number of years, but to watch him sort of shift in, shift out, you see it. He's a physical presence, and when he uses his smarts, when he uses his hockey savvy to recognize that he can use his body to get those pucks. That just leads to us exactly puck possession. Maybe it's a face-off that's a 50-50 that, he leans in and gets that puck, and, it's a breakout for us.
There was a penalty kill where 4 of your skaters did 2 full minutes, and then Lowry lays a hit at the end of it. What goes into that moment?
Yeah, and it's the second period, the longest spot possible from the bench. So, you're just the first. I thought the first minute and 30, we did a great job of. Maybe for a minute and 20, we did a good job with our sticks, getting in the lanes. We had some pressure situations. Then you get into the last 30 or 40 seconds. Now you're in kind of hang-on mode, and obviously we did a good job of collapsing and kind of, if they're going to do anything, it was coming from the outside, and you don't really want to get in those situations. But we never really had a real clear chance to get a hold of the puck, and Dallas obviously made some plays, but we did a good, like I mentioned, we did a good job of keeping it to the outside as much as possible.
You said when you acquired Luke Shen that you wanted to get him playing with different players. Was the back half of the third period tonight when he was playing with Josh Morrissey, was that intentional to get him playing on the top pair differently?
I'll have to ask Dino about that one. I saw it a few times too. I think it was just the score kind of where it was at, and I think it was just kind of trying some different things, moving some bodies around that way.
And what does it say about a guy like Brandon Tanev that he can take a puck to the head and then play a big role in the 4-0 goal?
Yeah, I'm sure glad he didn't get hurt. Obviously, Fly was trying to dumped it into his face. But he's a character kid. He saw his energy. I was hoping that he'd score on that breakaway in that first, but he's got a lot of energy. He moves and he pressures quick, closes on people, finishes. And that line was really good. I thought that line was really good. They had some D-zone face-offs. They got stuck out on a icing. Bear won a couple of big draws. Liked a lot of what I saw there. Those guys played heavy, and then they scored. They got rewarded. They scored another goal, which is big for that group. You missed one.
Dylan Sandberg's, he missed that game about 10 days ago or whenever it was. Now his partner is hurt. He's got a new partner to deal with, and he shows up on it with a night like tonight, the PK, the goal, all that sort of stuff. So I wanted to ask about him and his arrival on a night like tonight.
Yeah, well, it's payback. Peak had to do all that. P had to do all the work when he was out, so he's got to take on a load. But the maturity of him, I've talked about him a few times this year. Growing into his role the last couple of years, and then us handing him, recognizing it's time for him to move up in the roster, and him embracing it and really being good at it. And he's done a real good job. I know we've talked about him. We know how good he is defending, his footwork, his ability to go back for pucks, PK. But now you're seeing the other side where he's out on the ice with our top 6 forwards, and he's making plays, and it's what he did on the goal. And he's a guy that I think that guys like playing with him because he has all those qualities. And biggest thing for a big man, he's got mobility, and that certainly helps him and his partner.
Thank you.
Yeah, thanks.